Or the ladies and gentlemen, how you doing? It's Alexander Hiller here. Time for a new music vinyl pickups video today, the first in 14 months on the channel. Not been making videos in the last couple of months. I'm feeling very downtrodden, downhearted with YouTube and this whole internet game in general. It's not good, but hey, we're here to talk about the music today. And that is something I can jolly well do. Now, it's been 14 months without a vinyl music pickups video, but if you do like these, if you're a crazy person who's entertained by them somehow, then there'll be another one in about 3 or 4 months' time. And I'm not showing off the actual vinyls. These are all still in the cellophane, if you can believe it. I've not actually had access to my vinyls for a while. My auntie and uncle were storing them for me, so thank you to them for that. After the house flood, I needed somewhere safe to store them. Now I am back home in familiar surroundings, ladies and gentlemen. All nice and cosy, and we've got music to get us through. But yeah, next music vinyl pickups video will be much quicker than the time in between the last one and this one. It's going to be about 3 or 4 months, just probably before the end of winter, really. But 5 to show off today. It is always the case. The last 5 that I purchased in order chronologically that I bought them. Timestamp in the drop-down box as to when I start talking about each individual album. Timestamp and my favourite song from each album, and a little bit of a rundown how I got into each band. I'll have the Wikipedia pages open for each artist, and we'll get straight into it right now. Let's waste no time, because today we've got progressive rock, just classic rock in general, shoegaze, heavy metal, and electronic. So this one, I made a list when I started collecting vinyls, and I might have said this before in the past, about late 2017. That's when I started my vinyl collection, so it's been like 8 years now. I made, at the time, a list of vinyls that were either impossible to get, ones that I was waiting for a reissue of, or ones that were like a pipe dream. And 2 out of the 5, the bookends of what we're showing today, were on that list because they weren't unattainable at the time. And there's still a little list of those vinyls, because obviously when an artist wants to do a repressing of the vinyls, they've got to go through the labels and they've got to use companies to do the pressing, all that kind of shit. There's a lot of red tape getting in the way of, and then there needs to be enough consumers to have that product as well. So it's quite a headache for the bands and artists in question. But this one, I saw on Facebook that the band said, hey, it's getting reissued. I got my debit card immediately and fucking bought that shit straight away. I just had to, because it was on the list since the start. I did a worst to best of these guys many years ago, and holy shit, I just had to have this one. It's in the cellophane, but you're not going to be able to make much out. I'm going to make this the thumbnail of the video because it's a clickbait silly one. Oh, ladies and gentlemen, I tell you what, there's a lot of red going on with these vinyls today, a lot of red colour, but this is a masterpiece. It's bloody ugly and horrible. No offense to the band, but it's not the nicest vinyl. But it's Oceansize and frames. Back in 2020, 2021, I did a worst to best of the band. This was my favourite, still is my favourite, always will be my favourite. There's an astonishing array of songs here. Oceansize, if you don't know, ladies and gentlemen, a band that formed in Manchester. I think they are mainly from Manchester themselves, but the main lead singer, Mr. Mike Bennett, is from Yorkshire. Not sure about the rest of the band. I know they've had a couple of different members. I think there was an initial drummer, and he got replaced by another drummer. But yeah, just a fantastic band who, despite being labelled as progressive rock, are not from the progressive rock or the worlds of artists like someone like Porcupine Tree, who I adore, of course, but you know, Stephen Wilson back in the day, heavily inspired by Pink Floyd, and the 1970s cheesy progressive rock bands with the flutes and the woodwind instruments and 20 people dancing on stage and that kind of elaborate progressive rock. Maybe Oceansize at some stage or other, and certain aspects of the music were inspired by those kinds of bands, but they were also inspired by hardcore, post-hardcore, post-punk, bands like that. Bands that I'm not overly keen on, and Mike Bennett's vocals do remind me of those kinds of bands. I said this when I did my worst to best on Oceansize 4 or 5 years ago, but the musicianship, the technicality, the time signatures but there's melody here as well. There's a lot of beauty and there's a lot of astonishingly melancholy moments, more so on this album, in my opinion, than on any of the other albums. And it's a very strong track listing, and there are a few tracks here that, although I wouldn't say Oceansize I like as much as some other bands that I adore, I think this album is right up there with the very best of, I just spoke about Porcupine Tree, what a great discography, of course. Many of those bands, this fights tooth and nail with those artists, and it's right up there. It's higher, this album, than some of my favourite albums by bands that I do prefer than Oceansize, but yeah, just unbelievable. Guitar playing, guitar tone, great. Drums, astonishing. Bass playing. The musicianship, just astonishing. And like I say, if you like progressive rock, you never heard these guys, but there is also elements of post-rock as well. I think they're very inspired by all the 90s explosion of those bands as well, like Explosions in the Sky and whatnot. Post-rock, hardcore, hardcore, those kinds of bands, with the screamed vocals, not that keen on, but that's where I feel Oceansize are inspired by the most, and they just made their own thing. And these are not chorus, verse, chorus songs. If I have a look on the Wikipedia page here of the album, for example, you've got 8 minutes 37, 8 minutes 7, 8 minutes 7 again, 10 minutes 19, 10 minutes 40. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 songs out of the 8 that are on the album over 8 minutes. The shortest track is 6 minutes 42. The album's running in 66 minutes in length. This was released nearly 20 years ago now, ladies and gentlemen, October 2007. And Mike Vennett on the Wikipedia page said he had the feeling that it'd be an album that when it came out, fans wouldn't really get it or understand it, and then in time they'd be saying, that's my favourite. And very much so, I feel that as well. But the one before this, Everyone Into Position, it has kind of a reputation somehow for hardcore fans of being a bit of a sellout album, and it's total bullshit. It's not. It's just farcical to say that. It's just got an electronic element, and there's a few songs on there which are easier to listen to, and they don't require as much getting into, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. It's still fantastic music, and I adore that album. But commemorative 9/11 t-shirt, a slow builder. People thought that 9/11 t-shirt meant the terrible terrorist attack in 2001, but it's ages 9 to 11, like a child's t-shirt. Mike Bennett, yet again on the Wikipedia page, was explaining that story. Unfamiliar, gorgeous song. Trail of Fire. This is near perfection. Oh man, when I leave a song in the drop-down box, this is hard because I really want to pick The Frame. That is an incredibly emotional piece. One of my favourite songs of all time, but I am going to go for Trail of Fire. Astonishing piano, yes, we've got piano in the mix here, ladies and gentlemen, and it's one of my favourite songs of all time, and I would say one of the most perfect songs of all time. Savant as well, another one with a melancholy edge. Only Twin, an old friend of the Christies, Sleeping Dogs and Dead Lions. That's the heaviest track on the album, and when I was younger, I used to think, mistakenly now, in my opinion, that was what these guys did best. It's what I wanted from them. But really, I don't think that it is, and that's not a criticism, but I don't think these guys did do heavier tracks better. It was either the slower pace, brooding, build-up songs with that post-rock and progressive rock influence, or a song like Trail of Fire, which got a real emotional edge. Both lyrically, with The Frame, fans of the band will know what I'm talking about, goosebump-inducing, astonishing. Mike Bennett's vocals, not my favourite in music history for sure. He's got a bit of that kind of, like I say, the American-inspired hardcore bands, but also maybe some like pop-punk, like Blink-182 as well, bands like that. I know that's, the heresy to some fans. I mean, Blink-182 made some good music, it's not a criticism, and their drum was fucking brilliant, but yeah, his vocals, I can't always fully understand what he's saying. They do the job. I like them. I don't adore them. But Oceansize, if you're sleeping on this band, ladies and gentlemen, there's the thumbnail. I could talk about this album all day, I really could, but we've got to move on. Frames. Unbelievable. You got to check that shit out. And his next one, I also, obviously I said I did a worst to best of Oceansize, I did a worst to best of this band as well. So we're going to spend the least amount of time talking about this album, because I spoke about it earlier this year when I did a worst to best of the Dan. See, I told you it was coming. During that worst to best Steely Dan video, I said Asia would be coming on vinyl, and here it is. I actually purchased this before the flood, so it's about just over a year since I got this, but I've not had time to unwrap them and everything, because I've been out of my house and that stressed and everything after the house flood. But what can we say, really? We've got 7 tracks here. Mr. Donald Fagen, Mr. Walter Becker, rest in peace. With the magnum opus. I said it at the time, it's my favourite. It's very difficult. I only got into Steely Dan about 3 years ago, 2021, 2022-ish, 3-4 years ago, and over time I just realised I couldn't stop listening to the music. The astonishing balance of technical quality and prowess and precision, musical brilliance, but also poppiness and great melodies, great vocals, some harmonies going on in certain songs, and it's rock, but it's jazzy. It's easy to listen to, but it's challenging. The progression, the story of Steely Dan from the classic rock origins to this album, and then Gaucho after it, where it got even jazzier, and then the Return album, Two Against Nature, which won awards, of course, and it's a great album, but I think they did better in the 70s. It's just that in the year 2000, they were like, oh, these guys used to make music in the 70s are back. Oh, yeah, it's a great album, isn't it? Music's not as good these days, so let's give them all the plaudits, and they deserved a heck of a lot more. I remember prominent internet music personality Anthony Fantano was shitting on Steely Dan, saying how overrated they were and how he didn't understand why they were in the music canon and why so many people adored them. And Mr. Rick Beato, who I love, Rick Beato, I absolutely love that guy. He is a massive Steely Dan fan, and I wouldn't say they were at loggerheads about it, but I know they disagreed. That's what music's all about. I am definitely on the side of Rick Beato, though, mainly because he's not a fucking hipster. But yeah, what can you say about this album, ladies and gentlemen? The production, the guitar playing, the solos, the people that they got on board with this album, just beyond belief. This album, ladies and gentlemen, 30 years before the previous one that we just showed off. That was 2007 Oceansize Frames. This is September 1977, running in at 40 minutes in length. It's the 6th album from the band, and it's just a nice, cosy album. And something that I've always said about the Dan is that they don't lean too much into that sentimental side, but it's not incredibly cold and too technical. The balance is amazing. The balance was just right here. I also adore the couple of albums before this, like Katie Lied and the one with the city skyline on. Brilliant album cover. Can't remember the name of it. No, even though I adore it. What was it called, that album? The Royal Scam. Ooh, yes. Such a great discography, ladies and gentlemen. For me, definitely deserve to be up there in the canon of music history. And you know, I've got to say, when I listened to this album for the first time, I was thinking of MF Doom and De La Soul, because Black Cow, the first track, MF Doom on Gas Draws, he sampled it, and then the Peg, I think it is, De La Soul sampled that in one of their most popular songs, and I'm sure a lot of other hip-hop artists would like to sample just split seconds of Steely Dan's music, because it's just that damn good. But yeah, some legends here in the music industry. Mr. Chuck Rainey on bass guitar, Mr. Larry Carlton on guitar, and you just have a look on the Wikipedia page here, ladies and gentlemen, and the personnel, there's a lot of different names, and if you are a Steely fan, you'll know that Becker and Fagen were not easy to deal with in the studio. Meticulous is a word we would have to use for sure, and perfectionists, and definitely hard work to deal with. but they provided us with a pristine listening experience. And yeah, Asia itself, maybe the best Steely song. But I am going to put Peg maybe in the drop-down box. I don't know. I think the harmonies in Peg when Michael McDonald gets involved. Oh, my God. Oh, dear Lord. I'm smiling now. There's different voices. You listen in headphones. It's like, what is going on here? This is so easy to listen to, but, man, every little vocal is just perfection, adding different layers into the song. It's amazing. I Got the News, that piano. Oh, Josie, easiest song to listen to on the album. Deacon Blues, I love that track. There's not one here I don't love. Some people have that as their favourite. It's not mine. Home at Last, probably the most sentimental song on the album. Oh man, Fagan is going for it on that album. And I have to say, any Steely Dan fans who've never listened to Donald Fagan's solo music, it was about, I can't remember, must be 6, 7, 8 months ago. That was when I did my Steely Dan Worst to Best. I had listened to one or two, like the Night Fly, is it? I think it is Donald Fagan's most prominent solo album. I knew about that album, but I listened to his other stuff, and there's some good solo material from Fagan. Well worth listening to. Any as good as this? Hell no. Still worth listening to? Definitely so. If you've never listened to Steely Dan, ladies and gentlemen, is this where you start? Well, do you like jazzy music? I mean, the thing is, I'm not a jazz fan, but I like jazzy instrumentation in progressive rock. You know, if Oceansize did it here, if Steely Dan do it here, King Crimson, you know, bands like that. Pure jazz, I've never really listened to. But jazzy instrumentation or bands that are sampling jazz artists, things like that, yeah, of course, it can be really good. Ooh, I burnt my tongue on my tea, ladies and gentlemen. On the Spanish chicken I had, quite thirsty as well, just soothing it. What a bloody idiot, just slow down, as Tom York of Radiohead once told us. But ladies and gentlemen, Steely Dan there, Asia, and this album that I'm talking about now, oh, did you see it? Another red one. Bit cheeky. Teasing you all. When I went to the vinyl store in my town, the guy who owns the place, he's younger than me, I think he's in his late 20s. I'm an old man now, 36. He said, oh, 2 classics there, mate. And you know what? He wasn't lying. Ladies and gentlemen, when I first started listening to this album, I think it was about 2009, 2010, when I would have been about 19, 20 years of age. And I thought to myself, you know what? I understand the hype. I think it's a great album. But I think there's albums I like more that are in the same genre, in the same decade. We're in the 90s now, people. The best music decade ever, in my opinion. My favourite, anyway. But over time, this only gets better. And it has to, because Mr. Kevin Shields is one lazy son of a bitch. Ladies and gentlemen, we've finally got it. Oh yes, look at that guitar right there, more red. What a beautiful album. If Oceansize was a bit ugly, is this ugly? Look at that guitar. And this pinkish album, My Bloody Valentine, at the bottom there. And the other side of it. Oh, so damn good. Where's the track listing? Oh, the track listing isn't on the back like you usually get with so many. Must be in the insides. But I'm sure you all know about this album. Shoegaze Legends, My Bloody Valentine. And of course, this is the second album. They did make an album before this in 1988 called Isn't Anything. And it is a good album, but it certainly isn't a flawless album. It isn't a perfect album. There's some missteps here and there. I do like it a lot. It's got a few issues though, but Loveless is a phenomenal masterpiece. And then in 2013, 21 years after Loveless, they released MBV, self-titled, I guess, if you want to say that, I'll call it that. And now it's been how long? 12 years. Are we going to have to wait nearly another 10 years for another My Bloody Valentine album? And Kevin Shields, every so often, he comes onto the internet and says, no, guys, I promise you, the album's coming. Trust me, the album is coming. And then we never see anything. So if I Googled it right now, I'm sure the next My Bloody Valentine album would be coming. But I'm not actually sure that that's the case. But yeah, I mean, let's just have a read the Wikipedia page for this one. Composition. In an interview with The Quietus prior to MBV's release... Oh, wait a minute, I'm on the wrong bloody page here. Loveless. There's got to be a lot of talk about this album because it is seen as a legendary album. And it says here, the album was recorded between February 89 and September 1991. Now, that's 2.5 years. Nowadays, even back then, that is a large amount of time to be in the studio. So it shows you, yet again, just like Steely Dan there, it shows Kevin Shields' lust for perfection within the music of the band and the time that he takes to get these albums ready. I mean, it's reaching farcical levels now. But it says here, since its release, Loveless has been widely cited by critics as one of the greatest and most influential albums of all time, a landmark work of the shoegaze subgenre, and has a significant influence on various subsequent artists. And this is the thing that I definitely wanted to say. I've already gotten, and I absolutely adore, Suvlaki by Slowdive, which was released 2 years after this in 93. And then you've got the band Ride with Nowhere, which was actually released before this album in 1990, but of course Ride will have listened to My Bloody Valentine's debut, of course. But here's the thing, all the albums sound different from each other. You can differentiate them vocally and musically. There's similarities, but this for me overall is more abrasive, heavier, harder on the ears for a first-time listener, I would say, than Suvlaki, for sure. And Ride, maybe is kind of in the middle of both. But yeah, Suvlaki is an easier listen. It's their easiest album to get into. It's a colossal masterpiece, in my opinion. But Slowdive's other albums, Pygmalion, and I want to say it's called Just a Day, I might be wrong there, they are more challenging albums than Suvlaki. But yeah, even those albums sound different to Loveless. You know, people just like to create a genre name and just pigeonhole those bands and just say they're exactly the same. But no, My Bloody Valentine, Ride, Slowdive, and the other bands that were around about that time, they do sound different to each other. But back in the day, if I had to choose Suvlaki or this, I'd have probably chosen Suvlaki. But now, I would rather listen to this overall. Like I say, they're not that similar in my opinion. Of course, there's similarities, but these days, like I say, Loveless, this album, it gets better for me. It doesn't stagnate, it doesn't get worse. I like it more year in, year out. It's an album that just grows, and there's very little that I don't love about it. And there's quite a lot of technical talk here. It says experimenting with guitar vibrato, non-standard tunings, digital sampling, and meticulous production methods. Indeed, for me as a lay listener, as a lay person listening to this, meaning I love music but I don't play an instrument, I have no idea what goes into making any kind of musical album. You listen to this, I do, and I'm thinking, what on earth am I hearing? Like the manipulation of the guitars and some of the soundscapes have been something that I've never really heard anything similar since this album, 34 years ago. And I don't think it can be underestimated just how incredible this album is because of that. And MBV, it was similar to Loveless, but yeah, you could differentiate it. It was a solid return, but they'll never beat this album, and it's truly legendary. The song that I'm picking as my favourite, oh man, I think there's certain songs from these guys, and I want to move on to the next album in a minute too, but if you heard them from a distance, or you heard them from headphones or something like someone else's headphones, you'd think, what the bloody hell is that noise? And I only said as this kind of, I don't know, it's a violin or something, but it's this really, it's a noise that some people, it'll be like nails on a blackboard or something like that. It's quite jarring, but at the same time, they make it very melodic. And unfortunately, I'm going to try and start Spotify up here. I do have these on my PC, on my hard drive, but it's not on my iTunes anymore. They're just kind of there. I want to pick my favourite song and just talk to you guys about it now. Is it? Are you hearing that through OBS? Oh, you're not hearing that through OBS. Okay, good. But Only Shallow, legendary song. These massive drums as well. Oh, Luma, there's some amazing soundscapes here. And the vocals. Oh, To Hear Knows When. If you know, people. There's a Manchester song here as well, called Soon at the end. It sounds like, I don't know, some kind of Primal Scream or Happy Mondays, Stone Roses kind of shit. And it works somehow. But my favourite track, Sometimes is so good. We've got two vocalists here. Kevin Shields does vocals himself, but Belinda Butcher has got these really distant vocals which are not strong. They're kind of weak and timid, and it works so good for the sound somehow. It just gets washed out by the sound. A lot of times I don't like that, but I do with this album. I could be here for another 40 minutes talking about it, but this video needs to end in 40 minutes. My favourite song from the album I'm putting in the drop down box though, I'm going to put Blown a Wish. Beautiful, beautiful. What they're doing with the guitars and the instrumentation and the vocals as well. The vocals are weak, but they're doing different things other than just singing the tracks. The humming along with the music, especially at the beginning of that song. You listen to it, you'll know what I'm talking about. It's phenomenal. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, let's move on now. The fourth vinyl and an album I've not listened to for a long, long time. Now, I got this for Christmas 11 months ago. I gave my mum a selection of 3 vinyls to choose for me, and she came back with this one, and it was the one out of the 3 which I was least anticipating to get. I just thought, you know what, I've not heard that album in years, and I still haven't in full. I bet it's like 7 or 8 years since I listened to this album, but it is a cast iron guarantee of a phenomenal, amazing album. Fun, great production, good vocals, entertaining listen. You can tell the musicianship's great, and these two are very, very talented. I personally don't think they've done anything even close to being on this level. It's a fun album, which, you know, with electronic music, you need it to be fun, but at the same time, it's not ultra poppy. I have no idea what's going on with the vinyl. I don't care. Wasn't expecting this one. It's The Knife and Silent Shout. You know, the funny thing is, it's a 20th anniversary edition, which is quite interesting because it only came out in 2006. I got this last year, and it's now 2025. So can these people count? It's not been 20 years yet. But yeah, this is the Swedish electronic band The Knife, ladies and gentlemen, and their album Silent Shout, released February 2006 by Rabid Records, running in at 48.5 minutes in length. It spawned 4 singles: Silent Shout, Marble House, We Share Our Mother's Health, and Like a Pen. And like I say, it's an album that I haven't listened to in a long time. Some of these albums I just can't stop listening to. Once every couple of months I've got to listen. I haven't heard this in ages, and even since getting the vinyl, like I say, it's still in its wrapping there. I haven't gone back to listen to this, but I just remember all these songs, and I think I got into The Knife about 2008, 2009, after being, for a few years, a huge Röyksopp fan. I've already got a Röyksopp vinyl. They're a Norwegian electronic duo. Amazing music they've released, ladies and gentlemen. Poppy electronic, but also experimental as well. And these guys are very much the same. These are Swedish though, and the lady, I can't remember her name. From The Knife, what's her name? Karen Dreyer. She was the lead vocalist on one of Röyksopp's most popular songs called What Else Is There? Fantastic song, one of the best electronic songs ever, one of the best songs of any genre ever, to be honest with you. And that's how I found The Knife. Now, I found Röyksopp's music because in the UK and a lot of TV programmes at the time in the early mid-2000s when I was just a kid, the music was getting played out everywhere. And it's like, who is this artist that gets played everywhere? Googled it, found out. A few years later, I downloaded Röyksopp's music, and they were my gateway for a lot of different electronic music, including The Knife. Now, this is the third album, I do believe, from the band. The first is called, self-titled, The Knife. Second one, Deep Cuts, which features Heartbeats, which is, I believe... Yeah, it was covered by Jose Gonzalez fantastically. He's a Swedish-Argentinian singer-songwriter. He also did a cover of a Kylie Minogue song called Hand on Your Heart. If you've never listened to that song, I'm telling you now, you need to listen to it. One of the best songs ever, one of the best covers ever. But yeah, this album, check on Wikipedia, it's got solid reviews here, and if you want a little dance, if you want to have a little fun, shake that ass on the dance floor, you can do that with this album. But there's some songs here as well which have got something more going on, and they're not dancey as well. We've got 11 tracks, and I'm not sure my favourite. I think Silent Shout, the first song, is an absolute mega banger. Great production. And it's interesting with The Knife because the first album wasn't great in my opinion. I can give or take it. Not a huge fan, to be honest. Deep Cuts was good, but inconsistent. And then they released an album which was like it was for an opera or something like that. It was a collaboration with someone else. And then they did an album in 2013 called Shaking the Habitual. And Karen Dreyer is also... made a lot of solo music as well under the name of Fever Ray, and I'll hold my hands up, I feel guilty about saying this, but I've never listened to her solo music, and apparently it's really good. I'm sorry, Knife fans, I'm sorry, don't shoot. Yeah, I know I should listen to it. I remember listening to her debut album, 2009 it was released, and it didn't sink in, and I never went back to it, and obviously I need to give it another listen. Apparently some of her solo music is pretty damn good. Maybe I'll get to it one day. But Shaking the Habitual, I remember even the title of it. Karen Dreyer is a true Swedish feminist, ladies and gentlemen. And that album was all based on lyrically and, you know, in the themes of the album, those things. And I wasn't interested in that, but obviously as musicians they can talk about what they want to talk about, but musically it didn't do anything for me either, and a lot of people did like that album, but I remember not liking it. And I think this album is a lot of fun, and it's poppy, but it's also technical, and that's something that I've said for a lot of these albums, you know, it's not just sugary sweet, there's depth to be had, and my lord there is with this album. Now I just want to listen on Spotify here. Oh no, it's not Silent Shout. Great song, man. It's Neverland. I might put Neverland, so I'm gonna get Jacko on the motherfucking phone. We Share Our Mother's Health is a banger. I might put Marble House as my favourite track. I'm really struggling to pick a favourite from this album. It was a vinyl that I wasn't anticipating. It's an album that I've not listened to in many years, but you know what? I look at the song listing and I love every single track on this album. The Knife, Silent Shout. If you like how it sounds, give it a listen. And just like Steely Dan and My Bloody Valentine, just realised 3 out of the 4 vinyls we've shown today have artists with 2 vocalists. You've got My Bloody Valentine, Belinda Butcher and Kevin Shield. You've got The Knife, Karen Dreyer and her brother, I should mention him because he doesn't do vocals very often. He's got a really weird voice, and they definitely put an effect on his voice. His name is Olaf Dreyer. And as well, Steely Dan, there's different vocalists, obviously, but they're guest appearances. But that's quite a nice little touch there. 3 out of the 4 artists have got different people singing on them. And this one, I can actually, the last vinyl we're talking about, now I only got this a month or so ago, just like the Oceansize vinyl, ladies and gentlemen. It's an album that was reissued, and the vinyl and the whole package on this is phenomenal. It came from Germany, because that is where the band, who are American, the European kind of label is housed. It's all going over the place here. But ladies and gentlemen, it's time for some grey and black. We've had the colour, we've had the happiness, we've had the electronics, we've had the shoegaze, we've had the rock, the progressive rock, the electronic, but now it's time for the heavy metal. But where do you even begin with the genre of this band? Alexander Hilly123, now referencing himself in the third person. His fingers are on his lips. He's contemplating everything. Because this album is a fucking masterpiece. And I'll tell you right now, if other metal albums were on this level, I would still be listening to more metal than any other genre. But there's not. Because, ladies and gentlemen, it's Agalloch with Ashes Against the Grain. Woo! And this one cost a pretty penny. I think it cost nearly 50 quid. A lot of the vinyls I've showcased today were like 30 odd quid. This was like 48. The whole package here is phenomenal in terms of the actual vinyl itself, the pictures, the smouldering fire, you know, people who have listened, and the logs there to Agalloch's music before. It's like, yep, that's their music. I just see a fire burning there. And Mr. John Home there. I don't know how you pronounce his surname. Home. Looking very serious. Recorded in the last month of 2005, so this album is nearly 20 years old now. Thus, this is a reissue, of course, 20th anniversary, another anniversary. And I just want to say, actually, a bit of weird timing, I'm saying this now, but I actually followed a Reddit page. It's vinyl reissues or some shit like that. I've got another vinyl coming tomorrow, and the vinyl, like this guy and his team, they come to my town 4 times a year. Saturday, a couple of days' time, I'm going to be getting shitloads more vinyls, guys, so jobs are good. But yeah, on that on the Reddit page, I follow it now. I started following it about 3 or 4 months ago. The next vinyl that I show off in the video, upcoming, the vinyl pickups, that's where I found that. It's another 20th anniversary, released in 2026. So it's bad for my wallet, but it's good because I can see the new reissues that are coming out, and yeah, it's really good. So get on it, guys. If you're on Reddit, just type in vinyl reissues. Let's just see what it's called specifically. There's all sorts every day. Vinyl releases, brilliant. There's a team of people working to provide you with the newest reissues on vinyls. Awesome stuff. But yeah, Agalloch, where do we begin? What does Agalloch even mean? And by the way, look at this. Look at it. It didn't actually sink in here. This is just phenomenal. The texture of the soul is a liquid that casts a vermilion flood from a wound carved as an oath. It fills the riverbank a sanguine fog. These arms were meant to be lost, hacked, severed and forgotten. The texture of time is a whisper that echoes. It's like, okay, what on earth are you talking about? It doesn't matter, because John Home, he could say that to me for years. Put it into my ears. I'm rhyming myself, but it is like honey. People who know Agalloch's music will know what I'm talking about. I'm smiling here, but it's not the happiest music. But, you know, at the start I was saying, what is this? It's metal, but it's progressive metal, it's post-metal, it's black metal, it's death metal, it's doom metal, it's folk metal. All these genres, this band I've implemented into their careers. And this album, I think it opens up, I'll have a look on the Wikipedia page, but I think it opens up with 3 songs that are like over 10 minutes long. But some fans of the band say it's like the most sell-out material, or it's more formulaic, it's chorus verse chorus. It does have these very, very rousing, loud, anthemic choruses, this album. And it is more of a traditional progressive metal feel, whereas Pale Folklore, the first album, well, it's in the name, folk. Both with the instrumentation, the production, I feel it's more of a folky metal album, but no cheese involved, and then the Mantle kind of took it a step further and incorporated a few more genres. And this album, it's got heavy riffs, the guitar tone is monstrous, the vocals are whispered, growled, screamed, clear vocals, death metal vocals, the black metal vocals. The blast beats are on this album. Blast beats were most certainly on the album after this, the Mirror of the Spirit. So if you're into the more extreme side of metal and you haven't listened to this band, you should. But at the same time, I listened to more metal when I was in my late teens, early 20s. And in the last 10, 15 years or so, not much metal music really grabs me anymore. I don't want to listen to much of it, but this is an album which transcends genres. I don't know what genre it is exactly. The band are incredibly talented, and this album is just phenomenal, but it is a dark, brooding album. On one of the tracks I'm going to talk about, I've got to end this video within 4 minutes, so good luck me. But yeah, there's a song at the end of here, Bloodbirds Part 2. It's in 3 parts, and John Holm, I don't know how to pronounce his surname. He's just screeching, almost crying, and it's harrowing, absolutely harrowing. It's an amazing journey, and I don't want to be pretentious, but there's just not many albums on this level, in my opinion. It's my favourite Agalloch album, but all 3 first Agalloch albums and the White EP, which was purely clean vocals, amazing as well. Mirror of the Spirit, I remember when that came out, it had like an analog sound. It was pure blast beats, and it was more black metal inspired. The songs were like 15 to 20 minutes long, not an easy listen, and I remember thinking, this ain't for me. Listened to it a year or so ago and actually liked it a lot more. And then the band released an album in 2014 called The Serpent and the Sphere, and I liked some of the songs, but overall I thought it was the weakest album. Now apparently the band are touring again, and are they going to come back? I, as of right now, do not know. I don't know if anybody knows. If anybody does know, put it in the comment section, because that would be really cool. These guys must be getting on a bit now, but yeah, just phenomenal music. Wikipedia says post-metal, folk metal, black metal, doom metal. It's all in there. I like a bit of doom. I don't really listen to any black metal, but John Holm's vocals I think are fantastic and very diverse. Post-metal, folk metal, progressive. This album, easy to listen to, amazing riffs, heavy as shit, limbs, falling snow, absolutely wonderful. And in this, which I was showing you before, the song titles are actually in there. You see that on this White Mountain on Which You Will Die? They're in this. I don't know if John Holm made the whole of this, but it's fantastic. And then there's more pictures as well. The band are there enjoying a little fire. There they are. They're all sat round. I think these guys are from Portland, Oregon. I'm replaying Days Gone at the moment, and that's where that game is set. And it's very, it's like very foresty and woodland and all that with nature. And you really do get that vibe with Agalloch's music. It's astonishingly atmospheric, and it's late November now. It's winter time, it's Agalloch time, it's about as simple as that. One of my favourite metal bands ever, and if I had a lot of space for vinyls, white as the falling snow, black as our citadels burned against the sky, then I would definitely have Pale Folklore and The Mantle on vinyl as well. Phenomenal, masterpiece, You motherfuckers need to listen to it. I'm telling you right now, you do. But ladies and gentlemen, the song I'm putting in the drop-down box, I don't know. Not unlike The Waves, 9 minutes 15. You could go into battle for that song, with that song playing. It is phenomenal. I got goosebumps thinking about it. But there we go. Agalloch, Ashes Against the Grain, I tell you. Unbelievable album. And yeah, a colossal masterpiece. And the first metal vinyl I've had for quite a while. Now, ladies and gentlemen, it's been 14 months since my last vinyl music pickups video. The next one will be about 3 or 4 months' time. I've got the first one on the way. It's coming tomorrow. Band from the 1990s. The songs, they were my childhood. A bit of jazz, acid, funk. I think you already know who it is. A man with a silly hat is coming. But that's in the next vinyl music pickups video. I've got a gaming music pickups video. Not going to be any gameplay until the end of the year, guys. I'm a bit downtrodden in regards to YouTube and the internet in general. I think I said that at the start of this video. But we'll plow on 20 years of this channel next year. We'll see where it goes and where it ends, because YouTube, they're going to make it hard to keep making videos now, I think. But thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.